KILR Killer Game.
Hello gamers, simmers, and pilots. I am the Killer Gamer, and welcome to the tour around the world featuring SubLogic Flight Lite. Alrighty, we're going to continue from where we left off. Let's go ahead and pull up that map, and talk about where it is that we are and where we happen to be going. Okay, so well, we're just keeping with the SubLogic theme. This is one of the old SubLogic maps for scenery disk number 9. I had to remind myself of what that was. We are down here at Champaign-Urbana. We're going to be flying here to Greater Peoria. So on the earlier simulators, Flight Simulator 2, 3, and 4, we had started using scenery disk number 9 at this point. We got off of the default scenery and then we started using the SubLogic scenery disk. Now we don't really need to do that here, it's all part of the package. But we're going to be flying from Champaign, we're going right back to Bloomington, which is where we came from, and then continuing on to Peoria. And this is going to be a very cool flight because we will be getting to Peoria as the sun is going up. So this will give you a chance to actually see the color changes that happen during dawn and dusk. Imagine seeing Flight Simulator 3 or 4 with a gradual change from daytime to nighttime and nighttime to daytime. It didn't have it. You know, it was kind of like in between. It was the same thing as what Flight Simulators 2 was. And when you see it here, it's kind of like, wow, I wish Microsoft Flight Simulator 3 and 4, definitely 4, at least 4, had that. It's really neat to see with these old graphics. We'll go ahead and put in a reference plan here. So we are going to be departing Champaign. Doesn't really matter which runway, we'll just say 22 right. Destination PIA for Greater Peoria. And runway 22. I guess. Seems fine. Now it says that these two have ILSs, but it's not like they give you the ILS frequency, so it's kind of hard to do an ILS approach when you don't have the ILS frequency. And it doesn't give it to you here either. Okay, so Shadow asks, where were these all real-time stuff, or did you have real-time and weather? If not, when did that start? Yes, this does have real-time, 24-hour clock, and it does have weather too. It's under environments here. So we've got clouds, we've got wind, we got surface wind. No rain or anything like that. We didn't start seeing rain until 2000, I think. I don't think we saw rain in Flight Simulator 5 or 98, but it did start showing up in Flight Simulator 2000, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so for clouds here, we got 2 different layers, and we can set between 1 and 10 as far as the clouds are concerned, as far as coverage. Not really sure in regards to the sharing of information. SubLogic had a really good database when it came to the US as far as the scenery was concerned. That same database was used in SubLogic's final product, which was ProPilot, which we know of it as Sierra ProPilot. But if you look at the box, it has SubLogic's name on the back of it. And it's got their database in there. So I'm thinking that they worked with the airports to get information for their data. We're going to find ourselves a runway, because I don't think there's one the other way we looked. Might have been. That's a control tower. I can see it right there in the middle. We are flying a Cessna. If you look down below on the bottom of the panel, you'll see the Cessna logo. Now you may be thinking, this does not look like a Cessna panel to me, and you would be correct. They were not going for authenticity when it came to the simulator. What they were going for was a entry-level simulator that was fun to play. That must be a building. Hold on a second. We gotta go back and look at that building. I wonder if it's the same building that they show in Flight Simulator 3 and 4. We're going to adjust the time here just a moment. Okay, it's just a black building. Okay. Nothing special. When did ATC become a thing? That's another good question. That depends upon what form of ATC you're referring to. They had ATC going all the way back to Flight Simulator 4. It was in the form of adventures. You would use a program that would create an adventure file, and that adventure file would have your ATC control in it. That's the earliest form of ATC. That continued on with Flight Simulator 5 and 95. That's where Flight Shop came into play. If you remember the Bayo/Apollo Flight Shop, it had a ATC workshop in it. And that was for Flight Simulator 5, and then they had a converter where you could use it on 95. There was also another program called Wind Planner. That one also you could create ATC adventures with. And then for Flight Simulator 98, If you had seen my Flight Sim 98 videos, you know that this is one of my prized possessions right here, ProFlight 98, which allows me to create ATC generated adventures anywhere around the world. So I've got that ATC control going in between airports. And likewise in Flight Simulator 2000, there was ProFlight 2000 for the same thing. The built-in ATC that we know of today started in Flight Simulator 2002. And it's not a very user-friendly version of the ATC either. It was much improved on FS9. FS8, on the other hand, if you did not get up to the altitude that they're requesting you to go to fast enough, they completely drop you. They drop your flight plan, and you can't load it back up. Nothing. At least with FS9, no matter where you are, you can refile your plan. If you're up in the air, you can file your IFR plan or whatnot. FS8, you couldn't do that. It's a very frustrating ATC. I've had some issues with it on longer flights. So a little bit of history lesson there for you. Also, you may be interested to know that when it came to built-in ATC, X-Plane did it long before Microsoft ever did it. Also, the Sierra Pro Pilot and Terminal Realities Fly also did it before Microsoft did it. So they were built in to the program. Didn't need anything extra. So I hope that answers your question. And the only reason why I know all this stuff is because I've played all these simulators, and I asked the same questions that you did. I looked to see, what year did they come out, who did what first, who's on first, what's on second. I forgot who's on third base. It's not who. Done? That's right, done. Is it done? Yeah, I don't give a damn if shortstop, yeah. Abbott and Costello. Man. That is another comedy group. Never gets old. That one is always a laugh every time I hear it. It's hard to find good comedy like that anymore. All right, we are on the way. This is actually a good direction to go. We're going to see a little bit of champagne. Maybe we'll have some champagne when we land. So we are now airborne. And there goes the University of Illinois airport right behind us. Bye! Bye-bye! And up ahead is Champaign. I think we mainly just got some blinking towers over there. And just some colored lights there to represent the city. (13/7 = 20). Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I can't remember if I've heard that one or not. I guess the real question now on this is, do they have any buildings from the university? Interesting. I'm not sure what design we got going on here, but it definitely looks... I think there's a couple of buildings over here. It looks like there might be some buildings. If you look close enough, yeah, I see what looks like some skyscrapers here. The green is the top of the buildings. We're going to play with the heading bug on this one as well. For those who may be interested in flying this sim and are looking at these controls thinking, huh? Hey, I totally understand. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to mess around with it, but I took the time to learn and understand it, and here we are. So let me be your guide. As opposed to Weird Al Yankovic saying, "Let me be your hog." Let me be your hog. What album was that from? It was from something else, but that would give it away if I said that. Let's see, Bloomington, 108.2? Should be. Would I repeat that? Yeah, the lyrics were, "Let me be your hog. Let me be your hog now." Yep, that's it. UHF. That is a cult classic. Before Kramer was Kramer. That movie is like fine wine. It gets better with age. And there's quite a bit of stuff in there that they would write off as being racist nowadays. So I was like watching some of it. I'm like, nope, they wouldn't do that today. They wouldn't do that today. Okay, 308. So we're going to change this red digit here. Oh. That's interesting. Apparently you can change each of the individual numbers. Except I can't seem to change it. Want to change it to 308. Oh my word. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, so 308 will go over here to the autopilot and switch it to heading bug, and we can click this other switch here for altitude hold, and there we go. We should be all set to go now. Yeah, Blazing Saddles. Yeah, that couldn't be made either. Alright, so, gauges. Yeah, this looks like an absolute mess, doesn't it? Alright, so let's go over the gauges. I got that information right here. I have gone over it in previous episodes, but it's good to go over it again. Alright, so airspeed indicator is this right here. This right here is angle of attack. So this is the, I don't know if you can see the blue mouse, it kind of appears and disappears. But it's right here, it says AOP. This is the angle of attack right here. Now all the way over here on the top left where it says window, this is the zoom indicator. There's a few things in here. It's selected window indicator, zoom indicator, image complexity indicator, and time acceleration indicator. So this is saying that, okay, you can have like up to 4 windows open. So if you want to have a window open that shows the right view, the back view, left view, that's what that is. What we're seeing is the first window up above, which is straightforward. The zoom is 1x, so we're looking at 1x zoom, or just normal mode. The complexity, I don't know what the V stands for, but that's this image complexity is what that is. And then lastly, this one down here is the time, and we're at 1x speed, or basically normal time. It's not, the time's not being accelerated or anything. Down below here is the autopilot information, where we have, you can track nav1, nav2, or HB is the heading bug. then off. Altitude hold is right next to it. This down here, STB, I believe that is strobe. Yeah, that's the strobe light. Last time I turned it on, the plane decided to just go all over the place. I think I clicked something else, but not that you can see the outside of the aircraft, it wouldn't really matter. Down here at the very bottom left, this, where it said, this is control sensitivity indicators. It just means when you're moving the aircraft left or right, up, down, whatever, is it sensitive to your your movements or not? I just have it on medium. And then right next to it, you see the airplane. This is all the little indicators that show you how far to the left you're turning, how far to the right, as far as those little markers are concerned. One is for pitch, one's for rudder, and then you see THR, that's your throttle, FLPS, flaps. The clock is, well, pretty obvious, and then there's a stopwatch there. Then you got your turn indicator, which is underneath your airspeed indicator. Right below that, I think, is the ADF. No, that is a radiomagnetic indicator, is what that is. That could be the ADF. Some of these gauges switch out depending upon which aircraft you're flying. This is generally the same layout for the 4 different aircrafts. They just kind of switch some gauges out. The attitude indicator, or artificial horizon, you can see what that is. Also, the inner, middle, and outer marker beacons are off to the right. They show up there. And then you've got your HSI, your horizontal situation indicator, right here. This has got a combination of your gyro compass and also your OBS for nav number 1. Your actual heading is here in the center, your reciprocal. The nav 1 heading is up here, right there and there. You got your needle, which seems to be going away from us at the moment. We need to tune to 310 or move to 310, and we can change our heading bug. It's going the wrong way. Yeah, try going the other way. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's the ticket. Then you have your glide slope indicator over here to the right. DME, distance measuring equipment, right up here in the corner. So 18.0 miles. Then we got your altimeter, which is, we're over to the right side now, to the right of the artificial horizon. That's your altimeter. There is a little digital display right underneath this hand here. You got 29.92. You can't change that. Here's your VSI, vertical speed indicator, right here. Over here is nav2, your OBS2 for nav2. Then you got your RPMs right here. Engine RPMs, fuel, full and empty. Here's all your radios. The comm radios do nothing. You can't tune into anything. They don't do anything. They're just there for show. But your nav 1, nav 2 works. Transponder, just the same as Flight Simulator 1, 2, 3, and 4. They do absolutely... Heck, for that matter, 5, 98, and 2000, they absolutely do nothing. It wasn't until Flight Simulator 4, when you had the ATC Adventures, where you would be able to use the transponder. And then down here in the bottom right is a flight information display, which probably needs a little bit more explanation. Let's see if I can pull that up here. There's some funny stuff. We got time on this flight, but yeah, let me finish up some of the reading here. So the angle of attack indicator and approach indexer. The Aoa indicator shows the aircraft's current angle of attack. You know, remember, this is the one that's above the clock over here, the Aoa. The Aoa is calibrated from 0 to 1.0 and marked with red, yellow, and white arcs. 0 represents a very low angle of attack, while 1.0 indicates the aircraft has exceeded the critical angle of attack and has stalled. So, that's something to keep in mind. If we're flying and we see that angle of attack go into the yellow close to the red, that means we're about to stall. The area below the white arc, 0.1 to 0.57, represents the normal operating range of the aircraft. The white arc, 0.57 to 0.63, covers the aircraft's approach and landing range. The yellow arc indicates the critical angle of attack range, while the red arc is a warning zone that represents the beginning of a low-speed buffet, I don't know, followed by a full stall. The approach indexer is activated when flaps are extended or when the nose gear is lowered and locked. The display consists of 3 lighted symbols, red, green, yellow, which are used to indicate aircraft angle of attack during landing approach. When angle of attack and approach speed are within limits, the center green circle is eliminated. When AOA increases, your airspeed decreases and the top red chevron is illuminated. None of that we're actually seeing at the moment. Straight ahead is Bloomington. There's a little brown up here to the right of the center of our little red crosshair thing. That is the Bloomington Airport. The top chevron points down to indicate that you must decrease your angle of attack. So we'll take a look at this when we go for landing. We'll take a look at that angle of attack and see how that works. When angle of attack decreases, airspeed increases, and the bottom yellow chevron is eliminated. The bottom chevron points up to indicate that you must increase angle of attack. What's the expected arrival? Well, I can tune in to Peoria now. We're halfway to Peoria. 115.2. "46 miles. And it's going to be at a heading of 287. And you can can see, our autopilot is getting us, whoops, to the wrong heading. 287, not 277. IDT, that's giving us that little identifier thing. You just click on that with the mouse and that should make it quiet there. Alrighty, Shadow, we'll see you soon a bit. Going back here to our manual. Other instruments and indicators, the radiomagnetic indicator. The RMI needle indicates the relative bearing to the VOR station tuned on nav 1. I turned that off. Quiet. Yeah, I know this is the emergency broadcasting system. This is a test. This is only a test. So the RMI, this is what this is supposed to be, but I think that might be on the Learjet, because it looks different than the diagram that's on here. I mean, this does say Flight Light User Manual, so it's going to have the original aircraft. I think what we're looking at, this looks like the ADF is what this looks like right here. Anywho, engine in RPM indicators, 2 self-powered gauges indicate the low pressure compressor speed and percent of RPM for the left and right engines. Fuel flow indicator indicates individual engine fuel consumption rates in pounds per hour. The vertical bars indicate the quantity of fuel in pounds remaining in the left and right fuel tanks. Well, we only got one tank on this one. There's the selected window indicator. Lists the selected window. What's that one? 12? Oh, yeah. That's going back over to this over in the upper left. Zoom indicator shows the zoom factor in effect for the selected window. Image complexity indicator shows the level of image complexity displayed in the selected window. VCPLX, I believe that is very complex. So when it comes to scenery, I have it set to max. I have it set to very complex. So yeah, that is the most that you can really do in regards to graphics. You can set it to where it shows complex graphics or not so complex graphics. This is about as complex as it gets. Time acceleration indicator. Flight light lets you accelerate the rate at which time passes up to a maximum of 16 times normal speed. This indicator shows the current time acceleration factor in effect from 1x, normal speed, to 16x. And you can see that right here, 1x. So we are flying at real time. Autopilot module, which is right below. We've already touched upon this. Used to select and adjust autopilot flight modes. The heading toggle switch can be set to track either the heading bug setting on the HSI or the VOR station tuned on the nav1 radio. Not written here is nav2. So obviously you can do that as well. The altitude hold toggle switch locks the aircraft at the current altitude. See, this is the autopilot stuff that I get and understand. Put me inside of an Airbus and I can't figure that damn thing out for nothing. It just does not seem to work the way I would think it would work. External light switches. The strobe toggle switch activates aircraft anti-collision lights, a red flashing tail beacon, and white flashing wingtip lights to alert other pilots to your presence. So maybe we'll see that if we look out the back. Maybe not. It was worth a try. A second clock that... Oh, that's the clock. Where the heck did I go? The nav toggle switch activates navigational lights, a white tail light and red-green lights on the left and right wingtips to help other pilots determine the orientation of aircraft. Press the 1 key to toggle on-off the anti-collision strobe lights and the 2 key to toggle on-off the navigation lights. Or use the mouse to toggle on-off either light switch. Well, the only... Okay, yeah, so we have them both here. We got strobe, and then this one here are the nav lights. So we do have that. I just don't think they do anything. I could be wrong. Clock, right next to it. A standard digital clock that measures hours, minutes, and seconds and displays time in a 24-hour format. Simulation time is automatically set to your system clock on program startup. A second clock that functions as a stopwatch is also provided. The timer clock can be easily started, stopped, and reset to help you determine elapsed time for flight segments, approaches, etc. I have never used a stopwatch when on these flights, no matter which simulator. I never used a stopwatch. Am I supposed to? Probably. Press Shift-E to start, stop, and reset the timer clock in sequence, or point and click on the timer clock with the mouse to cycle through start, stop, reset. 19. Control sensitivity indicators. That's this over here in the lower left, where you see abbreviated control sensitivity. It's on medium. You can adjust the sensitivity level of peripheral aircraft control devices, joysticks, control yoke, and or rotor pedals to match varying needs at different stages of flight. These indicators show the flight control sensitivity setting currently in effect: high, medium, or low. We're in medium. Outer, middle, and inner market beacon lights. You can't see them, but they would show up right here to the right of the attitude indicator, artificial horizon. I just like to call it that. These lights are activated in sequence to indicate when your aircraft is over the outer, middle, and inner marker beacons during an instrument landing approach. Flight information display, which is over here in the lower right. This provides a variety of useful information throughout the course of your flight. In list mode, the FID displays an abbreviated flight checklist for each flight segment. In queues mode, that's where I think you just click this queues. Now it's on list, you see that? So we have like a checklist. In queues mode, the FID shows which visual flight clue is selected and lists the keys used to select the other visual flight cues. A configuration warning light in the FID flashes red and emits a low-pitched warning tone at 5-second intervals when the landing gear flaps or speed brakes are incorrectly positioned for your current flight requirements. So if we push this G here, okay, that doesn't turn it off. I thought it might. Then we got our radios, Nav 1. A 200-channel radio that receives frequencies between 108.00 and 117.95 megahertz with 50 kilohertz separation. The Nav1 radio is used to tune in and identify a VOR or ILS localizer frequency and controls the navigation functions of the HSI instrument and RMI pointer. 23. COM1 radio, a 360-channel transceiver that receives and transmits at frequencies between 118.00 and 135.95 megahertz with 50 kilohertz separation. The COM radio is used to tune in Automatic Terminal Information Service, ATIS, and to communicate with various control centers during instrument flight. This sounds great, doesn't it? And then we get to the next sentence. This instrument is non-functional in flight light, but is reserved for use with future add-on products that incorporate air traffic control ATC functions. So in other words, they were probably thinking of creating that whole adventure file type of thing, like what was used in Flight Simulator 4, 5, etc. And the light's coming up. Do you see it? This is the thing that sets this apart from Flight Simulator 4, is you start to see a gradual change in the sky from dark to light. That was a big surprise for me when I saw that. With a little imagination, You can imagine what this might have looked like had this been on Flight Simulator 4. I think it would have been amazing. Transponder. Electronic equipment used to identify your aircraft flight number, altitude, and unique 4-digit transponder squawk code on the ATC radar screen. Non-functional in flight light. And then we got the aircraft control position indicators. What? That's the little airplane thing that's over here in the lower left corner. I think I see the airport up ahead. There is our little red arrows up there. So yeah, I believe that is Peoria that we're seeing up there. We're 21 miles away from the Peoria VOR, the aircraft. The airport is before that. But anyway, that little aircraft thing in the bottom left. So there's the Airline position indicator, which is on the wing. That shows you the left and right. Indicates the position of the ailerons. Ailerons are centered when the indicator arrow is centered. When you apply left aileron, the arrow points to the left of center and the aircraft banks to the left. When the right aileron is applied, the arrow points to the right of the center and the aircraft banks to the right. Then you got the elevator position indicator, which is, or is that trim? No. I think it's this one. Let me look at the thing real quick. Elevator. Okay, that's the trim then. So over here to the left, right next to the MED, that is the elevator position indicator. When the indicator arrow is aligned with the raised center of mark, the elevator is centered. When the arrow points above the center mark, the elevator is raised. When the arrow is below the center mark, the elevator is lowered. And then on the other side, the right side, this is the fine elevator joystick pitch trim position indicator. In other words, your trim indicator for pitch. Shows the current elevator trim tab setting on a real aircraft. Trim is used to relieve the pilot from having to apply constant pressure on the control yoke to keep the nose in the desired position. When you fly flight light from the keyboard, the trim control lets you make fine elevator adjustments to maintain the desired aircraft pitch altitude. And then there is the rudder position indicator. That is this green little line right here on the rudder. The tail. That's what that is. The rudder is centered when the rudder indicator in the aircraft icon is centered. When left rudder is applied, the rudder indicator turns to the left and the aircraft yaws to the left. When the right rudder is applied, the rudder indicator turns to the right and the aircraft yaws to the right. When auto coordination is turned on, the simulation applies rudder for you automatically. And the airline and rudder position indicators move simultaneously. Brakes indicator is right down here towards the bottom. You can see I can turn it on, brake, turn it off. Illuminate in red when wheel brakes are applied. Flaps position indicator, right over here, abbreviated flaps. These different flap position settings are available on the Cessna Citation Jet. That was the default aircraft. 0 degrees retracted, 15 degrees takeoff position, and 35 degrees landing position. Well, there's more sitting there. Speed brake position indicator, we're not going to see that here. Throttle position indicator, that's right next to it. Indicates the current throttle position. Gear position indicator, well, we don't have retractable landing gear, so that's not a thing here. Thrust attenuation position indicators, that's not on this one either. Maps. Online, you know, in the game, no. But as far as a map to fly with, yeah, it came with this. It's got different sectional charts of the main areas that were on there. The CD version of SubLogic Flight includes the entire U.S., but it does not give you maps for the whole thing. Back then, if you wanted maps, you would have to place an order to get them. And they were the same maps that are in the SubLogic USA and USA East and West collections. And they are very big maps. They are like treasure maps. It's not something that you can take to a copying machine or a scanner and scan. It's too big. In this series that I have called FS4 Adventures, I actually have a scan of the map, but it is a poor man's scan with a camera, because that was the only way I could do it. No. So you could up, down. Control was not one of the easiest things here on this simulator. The red thing that you're seeing are arrows. They are a visual thing to help you out with landing and stuff, as far as making approaches. And we can turn that off, I think. Well, maybe not. I forget what it was. There's a cue to turn it off. But yeah, if you were to follow that red, you'll see when we get closer, they'll look like arrows. Well, you know what? What the hell? Let's go ahead and follow the arrow. Why not? So, Flight Light was designed to get people into flight simulation without it being overbearing. You know, it was a fun way to get into flight simulation without it feeling, you know, like that it was too complicated. So this was SubLogic's way of getting back into the game. And I don't think this sold very well. But they went forward and went to ProPilot after this, which was definitely an improvement. And then SubLogic just pretty much died after that, but Sierra swallowed them up and released ProPilot USA, which was just a patched up version of ProPilot, and then a sequel, ProPilot 99, which doesn't really do that much difference. It's a little bit of an improvement. And we will be doing streams on those as well. Right now we're focused on SubLogic Flight because there are quite a bit of episodes and flights that I have fallen behind on, so that is what we're working on here. We are getting footage recorded for those episodes. So you can see here, we're just following the arrows. This is taking us down, almost kind of like a glide path. Looks like there's a tower down there. Although it's a little difficult here to make some of those turns. But yeah, here we go. I love the Atari 2600 sound there. Yeah, going back and looking at chat, yeah, there wasn't any maps that came built in. There was, though, with ProPilot, I think, and Terminal Realities Fly. They had built-in maps, and also the old X-Plane, as we've come to discover with the flights I've been doing with those. Eric Cycle, I don't know anything about that. And I stopped on a dime. Yeah. The brake's a very powerful brake, apparently. The graphics really are not that bad. If you were to compare this with Flight Simulator 4, it's actually not bad. Actually, the graphics on this are better than Flight Simulator 4. In my opinion, the scenery actually looks better. Look at the sky. Look how that's the sky is changing color. Flight Simulator 4 could not do that. And so this right here is just impressive when you consider that. It's got a little bit more variation in clouds, which is nice. You see how it's getting brighter? Do you see that? And you really get a nice feeling of light to dark. Yeah, we'll stop right there. So just take a look around here. Don't mind the red arrows in the sky. Alright. Boy, this has been fun, especially seeing the colors in the sky brighten up and get prettier and prettier. Let me look at the blue. I mean, that's just really neat. This is one of my favorite parts. It is on pretty much all the simulators. I love it when the sun goes up and the sun goes down. It's just looks just absolutely amazing. And with these graphics that are similar to Flight Simulator 4, it's just neat being able to see that in the sky. I sure wish we had that in Flight Simulator 4. But anyways, hope you had a good time. I did. And if so, go ahead and click that like button and leave some comments on the video, because it helps me out and it helps out the channel and the videos series. So that way other people will be able to see it in their recommended feeds. The more activity the video has, the more chances are that people will be able to see it, know what that exists. Also, too, if you share it with others, that's another way too. And then subscribe if you're new here, because if you do that, well, one, you have my undying gratitude, but two, you get notified of future flight simulation content that is uploaded to the channel, which is definitely a good thing. I'm sure that's something that you want to know, not only for this series, but the other series that I happen to have on this channel. And then there is Twitch. Now, why is that important? Well, I've been streaming this on Twitch, as you can see in the past few episodes. It's been kind of a thing for me. Why? Well, because I can record the episodes and then invite all of you on for the ride. How cool is that? How cool is that? You get to be with me as I'm flying it live. You get to see it raw and uncut. You get to see it weeks and months ahead before anyone else. Yeah, because I record these in a batch and break them up, put them in the episodes. So Twitch, good thing. Follow me over there. Love to have you. And then Instagram, I take pictures and stuff of the projects that I'm working on behind the scenes. Kind of gives you an idea of what it is that I'm working on. And then Twitter for all the official KILR news and announcements, as well as retweets, things that I think you might find interesting. Snapchat for silly fun. And then there's Patreon. It's for the serious folks that are out there who would like to support me and the channel. I can't build this on my own. I really can't. I'm relying on all of you to help me out. So anything you're willing to do is greatly appreciated. And in return, you get bonuses and rewards as well. So I thank you for anything that you're willing to do. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you on the next leg of our exciting journey. Have a killer awesome day.